Kimberly here. Thank you for coming to my channel. Wow, 2 videos in one day, that's a lot for me. But I guess I'm trying to make up for all the videos that I've skipped making. I just wish I had enough time to do what I want to do. There's a lot of videos I'd like to make, things that come out in the news, and I just, with the full-time job, the drive time that I have to do, and taking care of my dogs, especially since I got a new puppy, and it's just squeezing in the videos, and then I do TikTok also, so I'm trying, but it takes up a lot of your time when you're making these videos and trying to plan things and figure out what to do. But sometimes I keep a list of things that I want to talk about, but then time kind of passes over, and well, that one's already, settled in the dust after a month or two, so I wait till something else pops up. But I was going to do a video on the Chrisleys today, and I haven't done one on them for a while, so there's really not a lot to report. They're a very uneventful prison couple, unfortunately, but I mean, that's good for them, it'll help them. But I think the biggest part is that they are trying to settle into their new life. And their new life is so different compared to what they were used to living, the way they were used to living. So I think that adjustment is more just a personal, psychological thing that they're going through. It's been said that Julie is taking it really hard, and I'm sure Todd is too. I'm sure they both are. They're probably having regrets and maybe thinking about their actions now that they've been sitting in there for a few months and having to adjust to this new type of life and not getting all the things that they were used to getting, all the clothing, all the food, everything extravagant that they used to have. They're not getting any of that anymore. So I think a lot of regret is probably setting in with them. And also, the strength of their marriage, I think that comes into play really, really hard right now, because they are separated. They haven't spoken to each other since they were incarcerated. And I know that has got to be psychologically very hard on both of them, because they were married. They've been married for 20-something, I don't really remember, 20, almost 30 years, something like that. Not quite 30 years, but that has got to be a strain on both of them, not communicating with their partners and having a marriage that long and then being separated, not being able to even just to check on, how was your day, or, anything that happened, just even small talk between them. They can't even do that, so there's such a loss of that type of communication between them. And I think the only time they're probably going to be able to communicate is through lawyers, or for their appeal that's coming up, or, well, it's not coming up anytime soon, but they're working on that. And if they are allowed to go to court together, or if they do see each other in court, if that happens, then they'll, be reunited in some way. And Savannah Chrisley, she's really been thrown into this role of mothering these 2 children, to have no children, and then to be instantly given a teenager, and then a younger child that needs a lot of attention, a lot of help. So that's a big chore for her. This is something that I think she's struggling with a little bit, or she even admits to it, but I think she's young enough to, I think when you have the resilience of youth, you can struggle through a lot of hard things, and sometimes you don't really think about it as much. You just are trying to make decisions, and just the idea that, the pressure of making decisions, I think when you're younger, sometimes it doesn't bother you as much. Whenever you're older, you start to overthink things and think, well, you think about mistakes, past mistakes, and this and that, but she hasn't lived long enough to have made a lot of mistakes. So this will be like a first-time mothering situation for her, having to actually take care of children. So I think it's just going to be, trial by error with her. But she has seen, the way her parents have been raising Chloe, and she's been around brothers and sisters. She wasn't an only child, so she knows, just by seeing what her parents did with her brothers and sisters, sometimes it's like you're looking at a different way of seeing things done, not just by what she went through being raised by her parents, but the decisions that her parents made for her brothers and sisters, and seeing, the difference in the way that each child was treated or was raised according to their personality or their needs. So I think she'll be fine doing that. And her brother and her have been trying to secure another deal with one of the networks, because I think they're probably missing a lot of that cash, a lot of the money. And when they were doing the shows with their parents, the money was rolling in. But now that their parents are in prison, they're not, I think they're financially probably worrying, or not necessarily struggling at this point, but if they don't do something, I think it could reduce their lifestyle, or they may go into something else, not just TV shows. If they're successful at writing books or doing something else, they're going to have to really think about the alternatives, because the TV show that they started out on was Chrisley Knows Best, which was Todd being the meat and potatoes of that, the reason why they got the show. And it was centered around the way that he hovered over his family and the way he made so many decisions. And so they don't have that element in anymore. So it would be something about Savannah and Chase that has to attract the network to give them a show. So they're going to have to figure something out and work with their own personalities and their own situation to secure any kind of show or any kind of deal, because they don't have Todd or Julie now. And the appeal, if they are going to be successful with that appeal, which, it takes time to do that, if they are able to reverse this decision, which I don't think they will. I really don't. I think it's going to stick the way it is. And I think that maybe Todd and Julie, as I talked about earlier, the regret, I think they may be losing a little bit of hope in that appeal now that they're really sitting in there and really thinking about what they did. Because then they can't go out and buy $300,000 worth of clothes every year from now on. They're going to sit there and think about, I can't even buy Christmas presents for my kids. So a lot of it is going to be centered around, what did I do with that money, and did we really need that money, and why did I do this? They're going to start thinking about things. Their brain is going to start ticking, while they're sitting there year by year by year, thinking about the situation that they're in and how they got into it. And, really they can only blame themselves. Okay. Well, I just wanted to update a little bit on the Chrisleys. I wish I could report more about them, but, they're just model prisoners, I think. And so I don't think they're really going to be given much trouble. If there was some emergency or some type of crisis that happened, I think that's the only thing or the appeal, when the appeal comes up, there's just not a whole lot to talk about them, because, they're not shanking anybody. they're not getting into prison brawls and stuff like that. And they're in pretty comfy prisons. So I don't think there's a whole lot of worry about that. And they're very fortunate to be in that situation, to be in that type of environment, in that type of prison environment, because they could have been put into somewhere else. But I think because of the nature of the crime, that it was nonviolent, that they were lucky that they were getting placement in the places that they were put into. So, okay, well, maybe I'll make a video tomorrow. I'm not promising, but I'm going to try. Thank you all. Have a good night.